Hello neighbor, I'm Robert Burns, and thank you for tuning in for yet another edition of Sound Off Louisiana. And I'm going to say this, I have had numerous people who have told me that I really ought to weigh in on the Kyron Lacy situation, and I'm going to do that at this time. If you saw the headlines, I stated in it that LSP should get an A in its handling of that matter. And the reason for that is very simple, and I don't need to do an accident reconstruction or anything of that nature. I know one thing, I excelled at physics both in high school and at LSU. I took physics for electives. We're going to do a little bit of number crunching here to demonstrate why I don't think anybody with a few functioning brain cells would deny the fact that Kyron Lacy caused this wreck, okay? Now, Matt Ory, when he appeared on a recent news feature, stated that I've always told you Kyron Lacy was going 80 miles an hour. I've never hit that. Well, I watched the whole feature. I don't recall seeing it, but okay, if you want to subsequently say you never hit that, okay. I think that video that state police produced shows that 80 miles an hour was probably very conservative, but let's go ahead and take that number, 80 miles an hour. We know that the driver of vehicle number 2, and that's the one who actually went over the center lane, the black box shows that she was going 49 miles an hour. All right, simple physics. And Mr. Ory wants to tout the fact that it was a full 92 yards, 92 yards. Okay, let me show you how fast 92 yards evaporates in that type of a situation, okay? Just had him admit that Kyron Lacy was going 80 miles an hour. She's coming at 49 miles an hour in the opposite direction. Okay, you combine those two, that's 129 miles per hour. All right, we will put these numbers on the screen, but I want to show you just how fast this wide gap of 92 yards dissipates when that's going on, all right? So we have 129 miles an hour. There are 5,280 feet in a mile. So we'll multiply that, then we will divide, divide by 3 because everybody wants to talk about yards, okay? And then we will divide by 3,600 because that's how many seconds there are in an hour, all right? And here's the number. I don't know if I can do this anymore. I don't do such a great job of this, and I don't know if it's going to show or not. But anyway, there's the number, 63 yards. Take my word for it, we're going to put the math and you can test it if you'd like. 63 yards in 1 second. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit elevated, but 63 yards in 1 second. Okay? So I want you to try something at home. I want you to take your cell phone, put it on the stopwatch mode, okay? And we're fixing to do it live because I have done this over and over and over again, all right? When you put it in stopwatch mode, when it hits 1 second, I'm going to tell you when I'm activating it. And when it hits 1 second, press for stop. And just see how fast you're able to do it, all right? I've done it as fast as I possibly can. I'm going to do it again, all right? Are we ready? Start. Stop. All right, I just did it. I would hope you can see this. And I stopped that sucker as fast as I could, all right? And it took me 1.48 seconds, all right? That's all the time she's got. You're seeing this vehicle coming straight on at you at these speeds, and all of a sudden 93 yards is supposed to sound like some unfathomable amount of distance. It's not, all right? 80 miles an hour, and I think that's conservative, but let's take it. 80 miles an hour, and the other vehicle's coming at 49, that's a grand total of 129 miles an hour. It takes a second and a half to completely evaporate that, okay? So, without question, Kyron Lacy and his reckless operation caused this wreck. And LSP deserves a grade of A for its, they put a lot of work into that. And they were taking a lot of heat, and I'm just going to briefly comment that heat I don't believe was warranted. This trooper was doing an admirable job of trying to investigate and get to the bottom of this. He had every reason based on witness statements to say that the owner of the gold truck had to put on the brakes. He had every rationale for putting that in there. He evidenced the fact that that owner was unwilling to cooperate. Well, he refused. The only thing he could have improved on was to say witnesses stated that he put on his brakes, okay? However, when interviewing that driver, he declined to corroborate that. And that's just not a major shortcoming. I could start doing computations again about the potential for the young lady not to have been tailgating, as she has been so widely accused of doing. But if you want to take that now, or going again with Matthew Ory's statement that truck was consistently going 28 miles an hour. How he would know that, I don't know, but let's accept him at his word that it was going 28 miles an hour. She's coming at 49. That means you're closing at a rate of 21 miles an hour. So let's just do a little bit of quick math. 21 miles per hour. We're going to do the same thing we did before. 21 miles per hour times 5,280 feet. All right. And then we are going to, so now we have the number of feet per hour. We're going to divide that by 3,600. So you get 30.8. All right. So you're going at a rate of 30.8 feet per second. Well, if they had, that would be 120 feet by my estimation. Now again, that's going on the premise that he was accurate, he being Matt Ory. 120 feet doesn't sound like tailgating to me. And I think that's probably why the troopers subsequently said, don't worry about that tailgate. When the facts of the black box came out, it wasn't warranted, okay? So I don't think there was any shenanigans here on the part of state police. And I want to address one other thing that Matthew Ory said. He said was back in his lane of travel, okay? I'll do a quick football analogy since Kyron Lacy was a very prominent wide receiver at LSU. For those of you unfamiliar with it, you have the offense, you have the defense, okay? And there's the length of the football is what's called the neutral zone. The defense is responsible for staying on its side of the field. The offense is responsible for staying on its side of the field. The offense can have certain players who can go in motion, namely a tight end, a running back, or a wide receiver, but ignore that for a moment. The guard, the tackle, and the center of each side, they have to stay stationary, okay? They can't even flinch, all right? And if one of those offensive linemen moves, okay, and the defense jumps across the line, in a pre-snap penalty is going to be one of two things, either encroachment by the defense or false start by the offense, okay, one of the two. Look, to use the football analogy here, we're going to move Kyron Lacy from wide receiver to tackle, okay? He moved, and he moved badly. He didn't just flinch, he moved, okay? And that drew the driver of vehicle number 2 off, okay? He is responsible. It's that simple. Let me just say one last thing. I mean, I tried to do a little research to see about any civil litigation involved in this. I did find one article that at least alluded to the fact that apparently the family of Mr. Hall may have sued, and it would be unclear what's going to happen with the lawsuit now that Mr. Lacy is no longer there. I took out a one-day pass. I couldn't find it. I wish that these journalists would do like I try to do and provide direct links, provide the documents. It would make life so much easier. But I don't know what the motivation may have been here. I do know I tried to do some research. I did that feature about the NIL payments, and I saw for Kyron Lacy, I saw ranges everywhere from about $250,000 to $700,000. Who knows what the actual number may be, but perhaps that is trying to be protected. I don't know. I don't know what the motivation was for the production that was done a couple of weeks ago, ever how long it's been. It's just not, it's not something I would have put out. I'll put it that way. And I'm just going to say this, I did that feature about the college athletes, and I'm going to be honest, nobody looked at it, okay? And that's fine. I've done features before that literally nobody had any interest in. It's just part of the deal. It was probably too in the weeds, too in depth for a lot of people to follow, and they gave up. But I'm just going to say this. The fact that we can now place millions of dollars or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in the hands of these young men that are playing college sports, doesn't mean they're going to have the maturity to handle that money, okay? So having these sports cars and all and not having the maturity, and I'm sorry, that was immature, and I'm being kind with the acts of Kyron and Lacy. We probably may see more of this sort of thing because we're now, even when they're in the NFL, there's irresponsible acts, and they're older then. So one of the things that perhaps people haven't thought about is the potential ramifications of this ungodly amount of money now being placed in the hands of college athletes. That doesn't mean I want it changed. As I made clear, I like the whole NIL system. I don't like Jeff Landry's plan for the sports betting, online sports betting tax. I made that clear. I'm not going to repeat it all, but at any rate, I think that's one of the other impacts. Now, having said that, the fact that state police, in my opinion, deserves an A for the way they had a lot of heat put on them, and they burned the midnight oil, and they countered because the production that got done a few weeks ago, in my opinion, is what led to an absolute feeding frenzy. And notice how delayed I am on this. I tend to be very slow and very methodical on anything I opt to report on. And I know I'm very much past when it was a hot item, but where I had tried to have said anything back then, it would have been like a pebble in the ocean. Look, I will call LSP on the carpet when it's warranted. And you're going to see other material in this same feature that will show me doing that. All right? The fact that they get an A in this Kyron Lacy situation doesn't mean there aren't serious problems within LSP, and that's particularly the case with regard to their unwillingness to be transparent when they really should be transparent, okay? And you'll see evidence of that in other videos pertaining to this feature. So while I give them an A, they deserve an A, in my opinion, with regard to the Kyron Lacy matter. We're still talking about an organization that is in woefully bad condition with regard to its accountability to the public and its transparency. So with that, I'm going to consider this a wrap. I want to thank everyone. I know I'm right in the midst of EMS features, but I wanted to break in and do this a little bit hurriedly because of the other matters. For those of you who may be curious, it'll be the Michael Reichart. You may have seen that in yesterday's news, and also this Matthew Clare situation where LSP doesn't want to release the video. And I will tell you, they have withheld a public record from me for over 180 days now. They finally let me know, that I'm not going to get it, which is not surprising because, again, you're not, and I'll deal with that in a separate feature, but I wanted to go ahead and get this out of the way because I have told some folk I would do it. And for those of you who aren't happy with the fact that I lay the blame for this squarely at Kyron Lacy, feel free to make comments, and if you want, contact me, and you can go on here and lambaste me, do whatever you want to do. All right, thank you so much for your dedication, and we look forward to bringing you another Sound Off Louisiana feature in the very near future. Thank you so much.